Whoa! Stop everything right now, folks. This is the kind of breaking news that hits you like a thunderbolt and refuses to let go. Iran just crossed a deadly red line, firing a ballistic missile straight into the beating heart of Israel's chemical industry in Sheva. Flames shooting sky high, toxic smoke choking the desert, sirens screaming across the south. This is not a drill, this is happening live, and it is intense. After what feels like 100 years covering every major conflict on this planet, I'm telling you straight, this strike isn't just big, it's a total game changer that just punched Israel's strategic core. The ground reports and jaw-dropping footage are flooding in right this second, and here's exactly what's exploding on the scene. An Iranian ballistic missile ripped through Israeli air defenses and smashed directly into a major chemical plant near Sheva, unleashing a ferocious inferno that sent towering flames and toxic smoke soaring across the southern Negev desert. An Iranian ballistic missile ripped through Israeli air defenses and smashed directly into a major chemical plant near Sheva, unleashing a ferocious inferno that sent towering flames and toxic smoke soaring across the southern Negev desert. The strike targeted the heart of Israel's critical industrial infrastructure, igniting immediate chaos as emergency teams scrambled to contain the rapidly spreading blaze fueled by highly volatile chemicals. Eyewitness footage captured the moment of impact, with a blinding flash followed by an explosive eruption that lit up the night sky and rattled windows miles away in Sheva. Israeli officials confirmed the missile fragment or direct hit struck the facility, triggering a full-scale hazardous materials emergency as firefighters in protective gear battled intense heat and thick, acrid smoke that choked the surrounding air. Thick, black smoke now completely engulfs the Neot Hovav industrial zone, a sprawling hub packed with fertilizer and chemical production facilities just south of Sheva, after Iran's precision strike delivered a devastating blow to one of the site's key fertilizer complexes. The dense plumes rose hundreds of feet into the sky, visible for dozens of miles and casting a dark shadow over the desert landscape as winds carried potential contaminants across the region. Authorities declared a hazardous materials incident on site, forcing immediate shelter-in-place orders for nearby communities and closing roads leading into the industrial area to prevent exposure risks. The fertilizer complex, handling large stockpiles of phosphates, pesticides, and other industrial compounds, burned with ferocious intensity, complicating containment efforts as specialized hazmat teams worked frantically to secure leaking tanks and prevent wider environmental catastrophe. Residents reported a sharp chemical odor in the air, while sirens continued to wail across southern Israel, underscoring the severity of the direct hit that bypassed multiple layers of defense. The strike highlights Iran's escalating strategy of targeting strategic civilian industrial sites deep inside Israel, turning a once quiet production zone into a scene of raging fires and urgent crisis response. Fears of a major toxic chemical leak swept through southern Israel after an Iranian ballistic missile slammed into the Neot Hovav industrial zone, prompting immediate shelter-in-place orders for thousands of residents near Sheva. Israeli authorities activated emergency protocols as thick plumes of black smoke rose from the burning chemical facilities, raising alarms over potential releases of hazardous materials including pesticides, phosphates, and industrial compounds stored at the site. The Homefront Command issued urgent instructions for civilians in surrounding communities to remain indoors, with windows sealed and air conditioning units turned off to avoid inhaling possibly contaminated air. Hazmat specialists rushed to the scene equipped with protective suits, monitoring air quality in real time, while firefighters struggled against the intense blaze fueled by volatile substances. Initial reports from the Environmental Protection Ministry highlighted the risk of dangerous fumes spreading beyond the industrial perimeter, triggering widespread anxiety as residents reported smelling sharp chemical odors carried by desert winds. Roads leading to the affected zone were swiftly closed, and schools along with public facilities in the Sheva area suspended operations as a precautionary measure. The strike exposed vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure, intensifying concerns that the targeted chemical complex could release toxins capable of causing long-term environmental damage across the Negev region. No fatalities have been reported at the struck chemical facility itself, yet the broader Iranian missile barrage inflicted injuries on at least 11 people in a separate direct impact near Sheva, adding to the human toll of the escalating conflict. Israeli medical services confirmed that the injured individuals suffered from shrapnel wounds, smoke inhalation, and trauma caused by the powerful explosions that rocked residential and urban areas during the intense aerial assault. Emergency crews transported the casualties to nearby hospitals where they received treatment for light to moderate injuries, with several remaining under observation. At the Neot Hovav chemical plant, workers were successfully evacuated before the full force of the fire escalated, preventing deaths inside the industrial complex despite the destructive missile hit that ignited raging flames. The contrast between the contained situation at the strategic fertilizer and pesticide site and the civilian impacts elsewhere in Sheva underscored the wide-reaching effects of Iran's retaliatory strikes. Defense officials noted that while air defense systems intercepted most incoming threats, fragments and at least one penetrating missile created multiple impact zones, turning a focused industrial attack into a multi-site emergency across southern Israel. This development has heightened alerts as rescue operations continue amid ongoing security assessments. Firefighters are locked in a desperate, high-stakes battle against raging flames at a major Israeli pesticide and phosphate production plant after it was directly struck by an Iranian ballistic missile near Sheva. Thick, toxic smoke continues to pour from the facility as specialized hazmat teams in full protective gear push forward despite extreme heat and dangerous fumes, working to prevent a catastrophic chemical disaster. The intense fire, fueled by highly flammable industrial materials and large stockpiles of phosphates, has turned parts of the plant into an inferno with flames leaping dozens of meters into the air. Multiple fire crews from across southern Israel have been deployed, using heavy foam and water cannons in a coordinated effort to contain the blaze before it spreads to adjacent chemical storage tanks. Eyewitness videos show dramatic scenes of firefighters silhouetted against bright orange flames as explosions from pressurized containers echo across the Neot Hovav industrial zone. The strike has created extremely hazardous conditions, forcing teams to rotate frequently to avoid exposure while emergency drones monitor hotspots from above. Israeli officials describe the situation as critical, warning that uncontrolled spread could trigger secondary blasts and release large volumes of toxic substances into the atmosphere. The battle at the plant remains ongoing as crews fight both the fire and time to stabilize the damaged infrastructure. Israel's strategic Negev chemical hub in the Neot Hovav industrial zone has been violently rocked by a powerful Iranian retaliation strike, delivering a severe blow to one of the country's most important chemical and industrial centers. The missile impact has caused significant structural damage to key production facilities, disrupting operations at a site responsible for manufacturing essential pesticides, fertilizers, and industrial phosphates that support both domestic needs and export markets. This targeted attack deep inside Israeli territory highlights Iran's shifting strategy toward hitting economically and strategically vital infrastructure rather than solely military targets. The Negev hub, long considered a backbone of Israel's chemical industry, now stands partially engulfed in flames and smoke, with emergency teams working around the clock to assess the full extent of destruction. Security sources confirm the strike penetrated defenses and caused immediate chaos, shaking the confidence in protection for such critical civilian industrial sites. The assault has sent shockwaves through Israel's defense establishment, raising urgent questions about the vulnerability of dispersed strategic assets spread across the desert region. Local authorities have mobilized all available resources to secure the area, while defense forces remain on high alert for further attacks, as the situation in southern Israel continues to deteriorate rapidly. A major hazardous materials incident has been officially declared at the Neot Hovav industrial zone after an Iranian missile strike sent thick plumes of toxic smoke billowing high into the sky, visible for miles across southern Israel. Emergency teams are monitoring air quality as black smoke from burning chemicals drifts over Sheva, forcing widespread safety alerts and shelter-in-place orders for nearby residents. Iran's missile attack has severely disrupted the Neot Hovav industrial zone, a major hub housing dozens of critical chemical factories near Beersheva. The direct strike has halted production, triggered fires, and caused significant operational chaos at facilities handling pesticides, fertilizers, and industrial compounds, dealing a heavy blow to Israel's chemical manufacturing sector. Israeli authorities have issued an environmental all-clear after firefighters brought the massive blaze at Neot Hovav under control following the Iranian missile strike. Air quality tests showed no dangerous toxic levels beyond the immediate zone. However, panic continues to spread across southern Israel as residents remain shaken by the thick smoke and fears of hidden chemical leaks. Many families have fled Beersheva suburbs, while others stay locked indoors, anxiously monitoring updates amid lingering uncertainty. In a major escalation, Iran has deliberately targeted Israel's critical chemical infrastructure with a precision ballistic missile strike on the Neot Hovav industrial zone near Beersheva. The attack successfully hit key facilities producing pesticides and fertilizers, exposing serious vulnerabilities in Israel's strategic assets. This marks a dangerous shift in Tehran's strategy, moving from military sites to vital civilian industrial targets deep inside Israel, raising alarms about future attacks on the country's essential infrastructure. From the missile smashing the chemical plant and triggering that raging hazardous blaze, to the thick black smoke swallowing the entire Neot Hovav zone, the toxic leak panic forcing shelter-in-place orders, the 11 injured in Beersheva with 0 fatalities at the plant, firefighters locked in a heroic battle at the pesticide and phosphate facility, the massive disruption to Israel's vital Negev chemical hub, the environmental all-clear that still left panic sweeping southern Israel, all the way to Iran's chilling new strategy of precision strikes on critical civilian infrastructure. This is the full picture of a conflict that just escalated to a whole new level. For non-stop updates and no-nonsense analysis, you're already home at the Amna Desk, where the news hits hard and stays honest. Smash subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you on the next breaking story. Stay safe out there.